Nigel Farage's Brexit party has risen in the polls as Boris Johnson struggles to agree a trade deal with EU, coupled with the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. Mr. Farage announced this week he will now rebrand the Brexit party to fight the government's coronavirus response. The Brexit party leader has been a staunch critic of Mr. Johnson's handling of the pandemic and in an email to supporters claimed the government had dug itself into a hole. Amid Mr. Farage's resurgence into the political spotlight, the Brexit party has risen by 2% in YouGov's latest polling data from November 4 to 5. Since October 22, the party has surged by 3% prior to Mr. Farage's new plans for the party, now on 6%. The Brexit party is now just 1% off being the third highest in the country after the Liberal Democrats, who are on 7%. In even worse news for the Prime Minister, the Conservative Party has now dropped to 35% in the polls, falling from 40% on October 22. They are now 5% behind Sir Keir Starmer's party with 40%, according to the latest YouGov data compiled for The Times. Elsewhere, the Lib Dems also rose by 1% to 7% from October 29, while the Greens have dropped by 1% to 4%. The SNP has continued at 5%, while Plaid Cymru has continued at just 1%. In order to challenge the government's handling of the pandemic, Mr. Farage has now applied to the Electoral Commission to rename the party to Reform UK. In particular, Mr. Farage savaged how Mr. Johnson has now reintroduced another lockdown in England. An email to supporters read, "The government has dug itself into a hole with coronavirus and rather than admit its mistakes, it keeps on digging." The new national lockdown will result in more life years lost than it hopes to save, as non-COVID patients with cancer, cardiac, lung and other illnesses have treatments delayed or cancelled again. Businesses and jobs are being destroyed. The House of Commons approved the new lockdown on Wednesday after Mr. Johnson outlined his plans over the weekend. Although the legislation passed by 516 votes to 38, Mr. Johnson faced an inter-party rebellion from Conservative MPs. Led by the chair of the 1922 committee, Sir Graham Brady and High Wycombe MP, Steve Baker, the rebels expressed their concerns over the economic damage of the new lockdown. A further 18 MPs chose to abstain from the vote and included former Prime Minister, Theresa May. In order to stop any further inter-party chaos, the Prime Minister has pledged to end the lockdown on December 2.